think we're good. All right, so you guys remember the honest to goodness truth?
Yes.
Right? Okay. So, Libby, there's a couple different ways we can think about character traits, okay? Characters traits are things that can change on the inside, mainly. Sometimes there's stuff we see on the outside, but it's mainly stuff on the inside, okay? So this is one way for us to think about character traits. We can think about the beginning of the book, the middle of the book, and the end of the book, because that helps us think about how the character changes over time, okay? So this is just one example of what that could look like, okay? So in the beginning of The Honest to Goodness Truth, Libby's naughty because she lies to her mom. She likes to jump rope, okay, because she was going to jump rope before her chores. She was ashamed because she'd done something naughty, okay? Her stomach felt like she'd swallowed chicken feathers. In the middle, Libby is sad, upset, and lonely because no one wants to walk home with her, right? Because she upset them. She's rude because she told Ruthie Mae she had a hole in her sock. She's mean because she tattled on Willie about his homework. She's confused, okay? Her stomach felt just as fluttery as when she told the lie. And at the end, she's nice, she's happy, she's apologetic, okay? Apologetic means you feel sorry for what you've done. She apologized to her friends and Ms. T. Okay, so if you notice, the text evidence here is the same, okay, which it can be. Sometimes you can have more than one trait for the same evidence, all right? And then we can think about how does the character change and what does that teach us? So let's think about that. With Libby, how does she change? Danny, how does she change?
She lied there. Her mom told her to start telling the truth. Then she started telling unkind truth. Then she apologized and stopped telling on them and stuff.
Stop, Nehemiah. The rug is not your fidget. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense, kind of. So she starts out, she takes a little foray into lying, she finds out it's a bad idea, then she tells the truth too much, and then she learns to find the balance, right? Aislinn, what are you going to say? How does she change over time?
Danny kind of told what I was going to say.
Okay, so Danny kind of took yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we can remember from, there it is, from the Honest to Goodness Truth, that we can look at how she changes over time, right? Okay. So usually when you do character traits, it's best to focus on one character, okay? You can do more than one though. Oh my goodness, I just fixed the screen and now it's unfixed again.
What?
I know.
It's just
Seriously, I just fixed it while you guys were at computer. And now it's unfixed. Baby. Sorry, guys. I did have this all set very nicely so that we could read it and. Okay. I'm going to make frustrated sounds now.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience. It was so nice and set. I don't know why the computer and the board don't like each other. It would be lovely if they liked each other.
Yes, it would. Maybe
Okay.
the board broke up with the computer.
Or the computer broke up with the board. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, it could be.
So, remember, good readers identify important characters and infer character traits using text evidence. We make an inference. That means we take something that's not said specifically and we decide what it means. Okay, to infer something, like Gabriel wears his green Minecraft jacket all the time. It's Minecraft, right?
Green. Yeah.
So
Minecraft.
I could infer that Gabriel is a fan of Minecraft because he wears a Minecraft jacket all the time. I might be wrong. He might not like Minecraft, okay? But that's the inference, the assumption I would make based on the jacket he wears all the time, okay? So we're going to practice that today with Sweet Clara and the Freedom Quilt. Okay, remember we've read it once, so we're going to read parts of it again. We're going to list the characters, or not all of them, just the important characters. Bless you, Amir. Their traits and the text evidence. Okay, Marcellus, focus. Before I was even 12 years old, I got sent from North Farm to Home Plantation because they needed another field hand. When I got there, I cried so much they thought I was never going to eat or drink again. I didn't want to leave my mama. I'm going back to her, I whispered every day to young Jack, who worked beside me in the fields. Well, you better start eating all you can, Sweet Clara. He smiled at me, but then his smile was gone. In a low voice he said, or else you won't make it. Young Jack helped me believe I'd get back to my mama someday. Truth was, I'd be lost before I got through the fields, them being so big and all. But I didn't give up dreaming. Off the desks. Aunt Rachel was raising me now. She wasn't my for-real blood aunt, but she did her best to care for me. One night she come back from working in the big house and find me lying dead tired on our cabin floor. She shook her head and say, Sweet Clara, you ain't gonna last in the fields, but I got an idea. Aunt Rachel's idea was sewing, and she started teaching me the very next night. It wasn't easy for me to learn, my hands already rough and clumsy from hoeing and weeding the fields, so Aunt Rachel took it real slow. She brought scraps of cloth from the big house and taught me about each one, how it was special and had to be treated in its own way. I liked to piece the scraps together to make pretty patterns of colors, but Aunt Rachel didn't care much about pretty patterns. Now you rip that whole row and do it again, Clara, she said. Why I gotta make the stitches so tiny, I complained. You're gonna be a real seamstress, that's why. So, who's the main character of this story? Amir?
Sweet Clara.
Sweet.
Just Clara.
Yeah, I think her name's Clara, but they call her Sweet Clara, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, see, and they moved again. I think you're right. The board broke up with the... Okay, so Clara. Who else is kind of an important character in this? Sophie?
Aunt Rachel.
Aunt Rachel. Okay. We're going to do... I'm going to put it in quotes because is she really her aunt?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, so we're going to call her Aunt Clara. I swear that was an L. Yee. Okay, bang the computer up, Miss East. All right. What is a trait so far that we see of Clara? Vanessa? Okay, so
her name was Aunt Rachel.
no. Oh, it is. Obviously, Miss East is having issues this morning typing. Okay. Still, yes, see, I distracted you guys with my mistakes. Still, Clara, trait of Clara so far. Remember, a trait is, a character trait is how you feel on the inside, how you behave, how you think, okay? It can be your outside appearance, but it's also about what's on the inside. So, Patience, what's a trait of Clara?
She wants to get back to her mom.
Okay, how could we describe that feeling in 1 or 2 words? Aislinn?
She's sad.
Okay, so she's sad. What is our evidence of that? How do we know that she's sad? Giselle.
Because in the first sentence it said, I cried all day.
That is an excellent text.
What was that?
I have no idea. I just ran into something probably.
And it was recording, so that means.
Yes. Yeah, so it said, when it got there, I cried so much they thought I was never going to eat or drink again. Okay, so that's some really good text evidence that she said.
You can't type it
I
all
can't.
today. Okay,
so very good. Remember, when we quote from the text, we use quotation marks to show. Okay, what's another trait of Clara's so far? Joel, what's another trait of Clara's? Okay, why do you think Clara is kind? What's your text evidence for that? We could maybe say Aunt Rachel's kind, but we're still talking about Clara. It's another trait of Clara's. Danny.
Unhappy.
Okay, why do you think she's unhappy? Nehemiah, can you help him out?
Because she doesn't want to leave her mother.
Okay, yeah, so the text said that she didn't want to leave her mother, didn't it? Okay. And these two kind of go together. That's why I put them together like this. Okay. Well, kind of. So I'm gonna do them like this because these kind of go together, right? Okay. So that's why I have them all together like this, is because they pretty much kind of go together. Okay. What's a trait of Aunt Rachel? Sophie, what's a trait of Aunt Rachel? Okay, so we could say Aunt Rachel's kind. What is our evidence that Aunt Rachel's kind? Oh, it would be lovely if I saw some different people's hands up. Lisa, what's evidence?
She was kind because she taught her to sew, and Dad made her to go in the big house. And she won't have to work in the field anymore. Yeah.
Good.
And that's what I have in mind.
Okay, good. So remember, when we use text evidence, we can use quotes, just like we did here with Clara, okay? When I got there, I cried so much I thought I was never going to eat or drink again. Or we can just reference what the text says, okay? The text said she didn't want to leave her mother. She taught Clara to sew so she could go to the big house and not have to work in the fields anymore, okay? So we can do both. We can use quotes, or we can summarize in one sentence a part of the book, okay? So let's look at a little bit more of the story, see if we can come up with some more traits. Tomorrow, you coming with me to the bug house. I got it all figured out, Aunt Rachel say one day. I was frightened. You ready to sew with me, she went on. Mrs. daughter Ella be getting married come spring. I told Mrs. I'd be needing help. She look at your work with sharp eyes, Clara, so do it quick and neat like I taught you. Next morning I tried to eat some cornbread, but my insides was all knotted up. Who does that remind us of? What is that feeling similar to, Aislinn?
When Libby, it felt like she swallowed a bunch of chicken feathers.
Yeah, so when Libby said her tummy felt like it was full of chicken feathers, that's kind of the same feeling, right? Your stomach's all knotted up. Lisa. It's, she's not here today. Thank you, but I found out Miss Brown's not here today. I'd never been inside the big house before or even seen white people that close, except the overseer. The next morning, sun was streaming into the sewing room, turning everything all sunflower yellow. Aunt Rachel gave me some sheets to hem. Instead of being contrary, that needle did all I wanted, just like it was part of my hand. At the end of the day, Missus come in. "Let me see your work, Clara," she say. I gave her the sheet, and she ran it through her hands real slow. I held my breath, watching. "From now on, come here," she say at last. When she left, Aunt Rachel and I looked at each other, about ready to burst. "We done it, girls," she cried. So what's another trait of Clara? So she's changed. First she was sad and unhappy. Then how does she start to feel? Gabriel, how does she start to feel?
Starting to get a little happy.
Okay, what is your evidence for that?
Just had in my head.
Uh-oh. All right, I'll come back to you because we got to have evidence for why she's happy. Joel. Okay, so was she happy or relieved?
Relieved.
I would say a little bit more relieved. Okay, relieved. Okay, she gets to be a seamstress in the big house. How else did she feel before she went to the big house to do the sewing, Giselle?
She was excited.
She wasn't excited. How was she? She was nervous. Okay. What is our evidence that she was nervous? We just talked about it. Patience.
Because she was nervous because she has never seen the white people up close.
Okay, that's why she was nervous. But what is our evidence that she was nervous? What did we talk about that's our evidence? Marcellus, what did we talk about that's our evidence for her being nervous? We just talked about it and compared it to Libby. What does she say, Miss Ellie?
Oh. Her stomach. Feels like she has chicken feathers inside.
Oh, close. That's Libby. Close.
It's knotted inside.
Yeah, she says my insides was all knotted up. Okay, that's how you feel when you're nervous. Insides was all knotted up. Now remember, she is an uneducated slave, so her speech and her grammar is not quite correct, right? It would, if we said it correctly, would say my insides were all knotted up. Okay, but because she hasn't had any schooling, she kind of speaks in the dialect. And so she says, my insides was all knotted up. Okay? Aunt Rachel, what's another trait of Aunt Rachel? Nehemiah.
She is nice.
Okay, why do you think she's nice? Because that kind of goes with kind.
Because she was cooking she was cooking breakfast for me.
Okay, so before she had to go to the big house, we could say, she cooked breakfast. That was a good catch for
I was about to say dinner.
Clara before going to the big house. Okay, what is another trait, do you think, of Aunt Rachel? Camila? How is Aunt Rachel feeling? Probably Camila should be paying a little more attention because I see lots of other hands in the air. Adam, how's Camila feeling? Or how's Camila feeling?
Camilla.
Camila's feeling like she's in trouble. How's Aunt Rachel feeling?
Happy.
Why is she happy?
She was helping Clara.
Oh, she might feel generous because she's helping Clara, but why would she feel happy? They tell us specifically. Giselle, why is she feeling happy?
Because Clara is going with Aunt Rachel now to the big house.
So the text says, Aunt Rachel and I looked at each other about ready to burst. We done it, girl, she cried. Okay, so that's a time to use a quote. Okay, done it, girl. Yeah.
Can't type.
Thank you for observing that.
There's 2 T's
So this one actually gets 2 quotes because it's a quote within a quote. Okay. Danny.
She felt generous.
Okay, why did she feel generous? Who, Clara or Aunt Rachel?
Aunt Rachel.
Okay, why was Aunt Rachel feeling generous?
Because she helped Claire. I can't say it. Clara. Aunt Rachel helped Clara get into the big house, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, and she kind of took extra time to do it, right?
Yeah.
So Aunt Rachel spent extra time.
Helping Clara get to the big house.
Exactly. Okay, those are some good. So we're going to stop with there today because somehow we're a little bit behind. So we're going to stop with these examples today, and we're going to read a little bit more of the story tomorrow and see if we can come up with some more traits. Okay? What I want you all to do today, okay, you're going to go back to your seats, get out your reader's notebooks, and we're going to do a table of contents entry. And then you are going to do a chart that looks like this. Character list, traits, evidence. And I want you to do at least 1 character and 2 traits. Okay? You can do more, but at least 1 character. Yes, and you have to have evidence for every trait. So at least 1 character, 2 traits, and it would have to be 2 pieces of evidence. So we're going to set up a chart that looks like this, okay? So let's head back to our seats. Joel, would you let Miss Herdman in?